Okay, we're still in logs, of course. The rest of this chapter is all about logs. And if you can do logs in your head, you'll understand logs so much better. If you automatically reach for your calculator and do it, you won't understand logs. You'll get the test and be confused. So it's okay to use your calculator, but make a guess in your head first. If you always do that, you will get pretty good at logs after a couple of days of doing that. Let's start with the first problem. Log base 10 of 1,000. That's supposed to be 1,000. So how many tens does it take to get 1,000? All right, make your guess. Now check it on your calculator. Right now, it doesn't matter if you get a good right answer or wrong answer. Make the guess, and your guesses will get better and better if you keep guessing. If you don't guess and just do it on the calculator, you won't understand logs. I've done this long enough that I can tell when people haven't been studying. They're just reaching for the calculator and they're wondering why they're flunking it. All right, 10 times 10 is 100. 10 times 100 is 1,000. It took 3 tens. All right, twos. How many twos get 30? You go count the number of twos on your hand. Go 2 times 2 is 4 times 2 is 8 until you get to 32 and see how many it took. All right, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32. It took 5. And then you would check it. It's always a good idea to check it. And you took 5. All right, how many tens to get 0.1? Well, it'd be better if we said 1/10. How many tens to get 1/10? Well, that's still a little confusing. Let's just go, how many tens to get a 10? 1, but it's 1/10. If the problem's been flipped from 10 to 1/10, you change the sign of the answer. The answer is -1. That one's a hard one to guess at first. So if you make it a fraction, it's 1/10. How many tens to get a 10? 1. But since it's 1/10, you change the sign of your answer. And if you do it on the calculator, you should get that. All right. Now, let's look at the last one here. How many 16s to get a 4? Is it more than 1 or less than 1? It seems like a strange question, but 1/16 is 16. So it's going to be less than 1/16. But how are 16 and 4 related? Well, 4 squared is 16, but we want to know how many 16s. 4 is the square root of 16. If we square root 16, we get 4. And you have to know about exponents here. What's another way of writing square root of 16? Would be 16 to the 1/2 power. So how many 16s does it take to get to 4? It takes 1/2. So anytime you're dealing with square root, it's going to be 1/2. Now go ahead and check that one on your calculator. Log, put a 16, a 4 in, and see if you get that 1/2. All right, some other one of these. Let's look at this top one. 1,000 was 3. What would, by the way, if we don't put the base, we assume it's a 10. What would it take to get 1,000,000? Well, it took 3 to get 1,000. Just happens to be all zeros. Just count the zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The answer is 6. Let's try using the log button that just says log. It's just log. It doesn't have a base. It's going to assume 10, and you should get a 6. Now, the reason they came up with logs was back in Kepler and Copernicus. They were trying to find the orbits of the planets, and they were dealing with these huge numbers they had to multiply. and they would have scribes in there multiplying the numbers for us, like a 6-digit number times a 6-digit number. And, it would take them a few minutes, and they'd often make mistakes. So they learned how to turn big numbers like 1,000,000 into a 6. And then you can add logs and then look at the anti-log, and that would be the same as multiplying the two big numbers together. Well, the calculator does it all for us now, but there's a lot of good uses for logs we'll learn later on. How many 2s does it take to get 1,030? Is it 1,034? 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128. I didn't bring my calculator with me. 1,000, I think it's 1,024. So you're counting by 2s. 2, 4, 8. Not counting by 2s, but you're counting by doubling. 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 256, 512, 1,024. And in computer talk, that's called a K, 1,024. All right, let's do one more of these. What's log base 64 of 8? Well, 8's the square root of 64, so the answer is 1/2. Here's some properties. And these problems are easy, and you need to memorize them. And A stands for any number. Log of any number, base any number of 1 will be 0, because any number raised to the 0 power is 1. So anytime you see 1 here, the answer is automatically going to be 0. All right, how many A's does it take to get an A? That's a stupid question. It takes 1. This is asking how many A's, like how many 5s does it take to get a 5? It takes 1. All right, how many A's does it take to get a to the x power? All right, let's put some numbers in there. We'll come over here. How many 5s does it take to get 8 5s? It takes 8 of them. So this answer would be x. Oop, my pen's dying. This is a raised to the log base a of x. This one will also be x. If the first two numbers are the same, your answer is going to be the third number. So we have a, x is the answer. A, x is the answer. 5, 5, 8 is the answer. 5, 5, there is no third number. So what number or exponent do you assume is right up there? That would be a 1, which is also this property. If you have a and a, it's 1. 5 and 5 is 1. Here's 5, 5, so the answer is 12. And I skipped this one up here. There's a 1. Remember I said anytime it's a 1, that's automatically a 0. All right. So do these, and you can just do the odd ones if you want to. And you're going to miss quite a few of them the first time. And then come back in 15, 20 minutes and do them again. Maybe write all the answers on a piece of paper and check, see how many you got right. And come back in an hour and eventually till you've memorized those answers, and that'll help you understand it. And there's only about 8 problems there or something. All right, and I'll be back later with some more information for you. I hope we're doing small steps at a time so you understand it well.